To calculate mean deviation or the mean absolute deviation, the formula, which is MD, which stands for mean deviation, equals sigma, then the absolute value of x minus x bar divided by small letter n. This is how we calculate the mean deviation or the mean absolute deviation when the data is a sample data. However, if the data we are given is a population data, the formula still remains the same, just that the notation is what is going to be different. So we will have the mean deviation will be summation, which is sigma, then absolute value x minus mu, which is the population mean, divided by the capital letter N. So the only difference occurs with the x bar. X bar is used to represent the sample mean, and mu is used to represent the population mean. Small letter n is used to represent the number of samples, and capital letter N is used to represent the number of data in the population. But the process of calculating whether for sample data or for population data while calculating the mean deviation is still one and the same. So how do we apply this formula? Let's see. To apply this formula, the steps are: first, we need to find the sample mean. So step 1, we find x bar. Then step 2, we find x minus x bar. X minus x bar is step 2. Then for step 3, we simply take the absolute value of step 2. So this means at each row, we take the absolute value of step 2. The fourth step is we take the sum of the step 3. We take the sum of step 3. And the last step, we simply divide the step 4 with n. Now, to start with step 1, which is simply to calculate the mean. The mean, in this case, which is represented with x bar, is equal to summation of the x's divided by the n. So we take the sum of 20 plus 40 plus 50 plus 60 plus 80, and we divide by n. The n stands for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So divided by 5. So that will be equal to 20 plus 40 plus 50 plus 60 plus 80 will give us a sum of 250, then divided by 5. And that will be equal to 50. Hence, our sample mean is 50, or the mean is 50. We are done with step 1. Now moving on to step 2. Step 2 says we need to calculate x minus x bar. So we come here, we have x minus x bar. So for the first row, where x is 20, the x minus x bar here will be equal to the x is 20 minus the mean, which is 50. So 20 minus 50, that's equal to minus 30. So here we have minus 30. Then we move on to the next row, where x is 40 minus the mean, which is 50. 40 minus 50 is minus 10. So the x minus x bar here is minus 10. Next, we move on to the next row, where x is 50. 50 minus the x bar is also 50. Hence, the x minus x bar is 0. So here we have 0. Next, we move on to the next row here, where x is 60. So we have 60 minus the x bar, which is 50. That will be equal to 10. So x minus x bar here is 10. And the last row here, where x is 80 minus the x bar, which is 50. that is equal to 30. X minus x bar here is 30. And this completes the calculation of the x minus x bar. Take note that this x minus x bar is usually referred to as deviation of each data from the mean. That is, how far away is each data from the mean. That is the meaning of x minus x bar. And one way you can confirm if you have not made any mistake in your calculation is the sum of x minus x bar. That is, when you take the sum of this column here, so when you do minus 30 plus 10, then the answer you add it to 0, then the answer you add it to 10, then the answer you add it to 30. When you take the sum must always be equal to 0. So the sum of the deviation of each data from the mean must always be equal to 0. If it is not equal to 0, then it's either you've made a mistake while calculating the deviation of each data from the mean, or you have made a mistake in the calculation of your mean, which is in step 1. So that's something important to take note of. Now, moving on to step 3, we need to take the absolute values of the deviation of each data from the mean. So, absolute value of each x minus x bar. Absolute value in maths simply means that if you have a negative, it turns to positive, and if you have a positive, it remains a positive. Again, a positive remains a positive in an absolute value sense, and a negative becomes a positive in an absolute value sense. So this means minus 30, the absolute value of minus 30 in the first row here is going to be 30. The absolute value of minus 10 in the second row will be 10. The absolute value of 0 is 0. The absolute value of positive 10 is still going to be positive 10. And the absolute value of 30 is 30. And this is how we do the step 3, taking the absolute value of the deviation of each data from the mean. Next, we move on to step 4, which says we take the sum of the absolute value of x minus x bar. So we take the sum of this column, we say 30 plus 10, the answer we add it to 0, the answer we add it to 10, and the answer we add it to 30. When we take the sum, we will have 80. Now we can move on to step 5, which is to divide the step 4 with n. That is, now we can apply the formula in full. So we say the mean deviation, which is equal to the sum of the x minus x bar divided by the number of observations, is equal to, the sum is 80, so the numerator here will be 80, divided by the n, which is number of observations. The n here is 5. We have 5 observations, as we have seen while calculating the mean. So 80 divided by 5 will give us a mean deviation of 16. That means on average, the deviation of each data from the mean is around 16. And this is how the calculation of mean deviation or mean absolute deviation is done. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like and kindly subscribe to the channel. See you in another video. Thank you very much.